Aloha golfers! Welcome to Golf in the Cosmos, episode number 21. I'm Kevin Robalski, and here we talk all things Mac O'Grady and Morad. So I have some special news to share with all of you. Number one is I won a tournament over the weekend. My partner Ken Springer and I won a team event, Aloha Section PGA event called the Team Facilities. And we represented KMR School of Golf. We shot 11 under, best ball, on two courses, Keolu and Hualalai Resort. So that was very special, very exciting tournament. We had some pressure down the stretch. Kenny and I both played well. And the Hualalai Resort course has new greens, so very tricky greens to read. But we did a good job, and it's always nice to have that kind of feather in your cap, especially playing with a good friend. It means so much more as a team than sometimes just winning individually. The other exciting part of the weekend was I got to play 2 rounds with Vijay Singh. And Vijay played a practice round with Kenny and I. We played from the tips, and it was very motivational watching him play. Vijay worked with Mac O'Grady in 1994, 1995. They played together in an Australian event, and Vijay was so impressed with Mac that he used Mac as a teacher after that. And Vijay does not get impressed very easily. And also over the years, Vijay has become a very astute student and teacher of the swing himself. So he teaches many tour pros and champion tour pros. He has an excellent eye for the swing, and he never stops thinking and researching the swing and how to improve it for himself. So very inspirational human being for sure, and very awesome to watch him hit a golf ball. So he hasn't lost much at age 58 years old. He can still get the ball out there, 300 yards plus, no problem. 290 on the fly, probably close to 120 ball speed, 175 ball speed, 120 clubhead speed, and hits a very consistent low spin fade. So nothing going left, and part of that over the years, especially the last couple of years, Vijay has really worked on lengthening his swing. So he's always made an effort to complete his backswing, and now, not only is he completing his backswing with the shoulder turn, but also the wrist break. So trying to get maximum left wrist Dorsi Flexion and getting that shaft to go past parallel. In fact, one of his swing keys is to wait until he sees the club out of the corner of his eye at the top of the backswing P4, and then he fires and comes down. There's no doubt about it, if you do this with TrackMan, you will pick up clubhead speed. So, of course, maybe it could be a little bit more difficult timing, and that's something that we all have to kind of, sort out for ourselves. But if you're looking for more clubhead speed, definitely the Dorsi Flexion, which is the cupping of the left wrist at P4, will get you to cock the wrist more. And that is an easy way to gain more clubhead speed. And that swing tip of waiting until you see the club head appear out of the corner of your left eye, that's a good way of knowing whether or not you're breaking your wrist enough. And I would go ahead and explore it. Vijay fades the ball, right? He never really hooks it or hits it left because of that aspect. He has so much wrist angle that he just transports it down, and he's always just a little bit late in the release, and ball will start fairly straight and then fall right with enormous power. Of course, you got to get the club right too. So the length of the club, the flex, the loft, all of this has got to match your swing. So when you start lengthening your swing, typically you're going to need to stiffen the shaft and lower the loft. Because as the club head speed raises, you might get a higher trajectory and the ball might balloon on you. So that's something to keep in mind. When Mac started work with Vijay, this was when Vijay got on the tour in the early 90s, he was quite laid off at the top, and definitely maybe a little bit shorter in the shoulder turn. And what I think really appealed to Vijay working with Mac is Mac gave him basically a Sam Snead model to follow. So Vijay would take the club to the inside, then come up and get the club more on a good plane at the top, more down the line. And when the hand path goes to the inside, right, it forces your back to turn. So Sam Snead took it inside early and then up and right on plane at the top. So I think this appealed to Vijay, and definitely they had a good working relationship. Vijay won using that swing with Mac, and of course, like a lot of players, they had their falling out, but in a short, brief period, it was a nice working relationship, and I had some nice videos of the two of them working together. Vijay tended to sort of use a lot of right hand sometimes at the bottom, and actually his right hand would come off the club. And I think that's just a characteristic of having a long backswing and a narrow backswing, and the right hand needs to get in there to help square up the face at the last second. Vijay in the past, probably now as well, would get all the way down here like this sometimes. Really have a late release. And if you didn't use that right hand to come over like that, the ball can go way right. So part of that is just the brain's mechanism, how to solve that squaring process, right? So you will see this in other players too. Freddie Couples has a little bit of that as well. And so it's not that uncommon that you see the right hand come off the club a little bit, and that's very typical of a golfer with a very late release. So, Vijay hits fade. So if you looked at this one position like this, and you would think that the ball would be going left, Vijay would hit a draw, but he doesn't. Right? He'll do that, and the ball will still fade to the right because he's so deep in P7. So P6, P7, so much lag, such a late release point that right hand helps get that club face close to square. So he's got that all worked out. His timing is immaculate and extremely impressive to watch. So don't discount his swing because it's long, right? We as instructors, we tend to get into this idea where we want to have it perfectly painted by numbers, the mechanics. And, it's nice, but the mechanics of the swing doesn't win tournaments, right? Your ability to reproduce the shots, especially under pressure, that's going to win you tournaments. So, and for a lot of us that are getting older and want to get more club head speed, definitely that's something to explore, is that cupping of the left wrist, the Dorsi Flexion. Of course, when you see the later Morad and the flat left wrist, you're going to see a shorter backswing. The more you get into a bowed left wrist or even a flat left wrist, you're going to tend to see the shorter, more laid off look at the top, right? And so this is something that is, could be described maybe as on plane for some, right? But also definitely it's going to limit your ability to really produce high club head speed, right? So, you could say, one golfer could say, this is a perfect backswing. Another could be this is a perfect backswing. Another could be that's a perfect backswing. Right now, Vijay likes to do that. Long hitters, long drive hitters tend to have that club long and past parallel and crossing the line, right? So it doesn't mean that you can't deliver the club on a perfect plane in the downswing and release it. So this is something that, you can't get too stuck into. Everybody's on their own journey, and everybody has to sort out the swing characteristics that they want. And it doesn't mean that one swing would suit everybody. For me, I like a swing that's a little bit easier to repeat. So I don't mind giving up some distance, and I would like something in windy conditions, on tight golf courses, on uneven lies, out of bunkers with high lips, something that's going to give me the confidence to strike the ball well. And for me, that's probably closer to a 3/4 backswing. Maybe the driver will get to parallel, but definitely my irons are going to be a lot shorter of parallel, and I feel like I can hit the center of the club face from there. So that's definitely something that I prefer, but not always what everybody needs. So this is something that we may call the art of teaching, is to work with people on a case-by-case basis and try to give them what they need, not what you as a teacher need. So that's something that we all have to learn on the way. So in today's video clip, I'm going to show some videos of Vijay in our practice round. I'm also going to show some videos of Mac doing the longer backswing. And so Mac did do a long backswing from time to time in the 80s and in the 90s, especially with the driver. There were times when Mac was very enamored with distance and trying to get maximum club head speed. And in fact, I think he even credits the ability that he got back on track and on tour because he got his power back that he had lost when he was, a teenager. And part of that, again, was through the mechanics. But definitely Mac in the 80s and a great part of the 90s was definitely a proponent of hitting the ball hard and hitting the ball far. So these things, I think, are also a little bit tied into your confidence as for a golfer, right? So playing with someone like Vijay, if you had a technically perfect swing up the plane, down the plane, hit it 250, yards down the middle most of the time, it's still hard to play with someone like Vijay that's hitting it 70, 80 yards past you. So that's something that's going to make you think. Now, if you're always playing in a certain foursome and you're kind of locked into a comfort zone, then you might know that. So that's why playing in competition, getting out of your comfort zone is so important, because you can really, healthily compare yourself to other golfers. There are times I can get my drive close to Vijay, especially into the wind. If I can get the right spin rate, then my ball can get, within 15 yards of Vijay. But downwind, wow, Vijay can really move it out there. And so could Mac. Mac would hit it high. Definitely Mac had 120 mile an hour plus club head speed in the 80s and even in the 90s. So I'm going to show those videos and let you enjoy them. And again, thanks for your support. Please press like, please subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos in the future. Aloha.
And what's the, on the chin?
What?
The chin?
You mean, you want me to talk about the chin?
Yeah.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
If you set up, you get your chin up too high like this, even though I'm bent from the waist, let's say 40 degrees here, my chin goes up. Now I'm looking at the ball at the bottom of my eye socket.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is then when I turn like this, see how my shoulders turn horizontal?
Yeah.
It's the way the eyes and the ears work. There's fluid in the inner ear. You move your chin up like this, shoulders will automatically follow. No matter how much you bend up, move it here like this, go to the top of my swing, I'll go like that.
Yeah.
Okay? If your chin goes down, you want to get the proper setting so that the eyes are right in the pupil of the eye is right in the center of the eye socket. You're not up here or you're not down looking up. Just right, okay? And then you'll see this, it's a space maybe a couple inches or so, depending on the length of the neck and everybody, but once you set it up here like this, you're just trying to maintain it, bang, there you are. So hit right, it depends how big somebody's shoulders are and how wide they are and stuff, but you never want to get to a point where you're up here like this, you get your shoulder underneath it. That's how you look, going like that, okay? Now, if I'm not shaving, if I have my shirt off, I'll have whisker burns on my left shoulder. That's short. Really short.
That one rolled pretty good though. Huh?
Yeah, I think this is a better driver than the other one. Well, it depends.
Yeah. Just based
Okay,
upon.
ready? Here we go, chin.
That's a good shot.
Oh, I'm getting weaker. Ready? Here we go. Broke my promise. Oh, I'm getting weak. Slightest one. It's the white paper. 5 yards from here, past the white paper. That's what, 10 yards. 10 yards, 7 yards farther than I normally would, right? One club length difference.
Going ballistic here. That's hit hard, but not as long as the first one.
You know what's weird about that? When that happens, then I feel fine. But just like the other swings when the ball goes. Why do you think that happens? With the ball? You get tired with the ball, I won't do that. There we go. Home videos here.